I gave my son my grandfather's pocket watch for his 40th birthday, and he called it old junk and tossed it in a drawer. 2 weeks later, I sold it at auction for $75,000. When he found out, he lost his mind completely. But that was only the beginning. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is, where you are now. The velvet box sat open on my dining room table. Inside, gold gleamed under the chandelier light. A Patek Philippe from 1923, my grandfather's most prized possession. Bradley picked it up, turned it over twice, set it down. Dad, what am I supposed to do with this? My living room had never felt smaller. 68 years of breathing, and I'd never felt so suffocated in my own home. It's a watch. I kept my voice steady. Your great-grandfather bought it in Geneva, carried it through 2 wars. Crystal leaned over his shoulder. Her perfume cost more than my grocery bill. Is it even waterproof? It's from 1923. So that's a no. She wrinkled her nose. Brad, honey, you can't wear that to the club. People will think you shop at antique malls. I do shop at antique malls. I've been a watchmaker for 45 years. Antique malls are where treasures hide. Bradley shrugged. Thanks, Dad. Really. But this isn't really my style. Maybe put it back in your collection? Your style? I nodded slowly. And what is your style exactly? Crystal answered for him. Modern. Clean. His Rolex is perfect for networking events. The Rolex I bought him for his 30th birthday, the one that cost me $12,000. That Rolex. This watch, I said carefully, was appraised in 1987 for $8,000. It's worth considerably more now. Bradley's eyes flickered. Brief interest. Then nothing. Cool. But I mean, who's going to buy a 100-year-old watch? Collectors. Museums. People who understand craftsmanship. Crystal patted my arm. Walter, that's sweet. But let's be honest. Old things are just old. No offense. None taken. I picked up the watch, closed the velvet box. I think I'll keep it in my workshop then, for safekeeping. Good idea. Bradley checked his phone. Hey, we gotta run. Dinner reservation at 7. They'd arrived at 5. Stayed 47 minutes. Left the birthday cake I'd baked untouched on the counter. German chocolate, his favorite since childhood. Or so I thought. Crystal turned at the door. Oh, and Walter? We need to talk about next month's mortgage payment. Just a reminder. Right. Next month's mortgage payment on their $600,000 house. The one I'd been helping with for 3 years because Bradley's consulting business never quite took off. The one where they hosted dinner parties I wasn't invited to. I'll transfer it Monday. You're the best. She blew a kiss. Didn't land anywhere useful. The door closed. I stood in my living room holding a $75,000 watch that my son called junk. The German chocolate cake sat on the counter, cooling, much like my paternal affection. I'd been a master watchmaker in Charleston for 45 years, trained in Switzerland, restored timepieces for museums, private collectors, royal families. My hands had touched watches worth millions. My reputation was built on precision, authenticity, and patience. My son thought a Patek Philippe from 1923 was junk. That night, I sat in my workshop. The watch lay open on my bench, movement exposed. 18 jewels, hand-engraved balance bridge. Original enamel dial with hairline crack near the 4. Perfect imperfection. This crack told a story. My grandfather dropped it during the Battle of the Bulge, picked it up, kept marching, survived. Bradley would never understand that. My phone sat next to my loop. I scrolled through contacts, stopped at Morrison Brothers auction house, Atlanta. Gerald Morrison and I had known each other for 30 years. He'd sold pieces for me before. Good pieces. Important pieces. My thumb hovered. Should I? The watch was meant for Bradley. A legacy piece. 3 generations of meaning. But meaning requires someone who cares. I tapped the number. Gerald, it's Walter Hendricks. I have something for your February auction. Patek Philippe, 1923. Exceptional provenance. Interested? 2 weeks later, I drove to Atlanta. The watch sat in my passenger seat, secured in its original mahogany case. More care than Bradley had shown it. Gerald met me in the examination room. White gloves, magnification equipment. The reverence my son couldn't muster. "Walter, this is extraordinary." Gerald's eyes widened behind his loupe. "Original movement. Never serviced by unauthorized hands. I restored it myself in 1998. Everything period correct. The documentation? Complete. Geneva papers. My grandfather's military records showing ownership. Family photographs dating to 1925. He set it down gently. "We're looking at $60,000 to $80,000, maybe higher if the right collectors show up." I remembered Bradley's face. "Old junk. List it." The auction was February 15th. I didn't tell anyone. Not Bradley, not Crystal, not even my daughter Emma in Seattle. She would have talked me out of it. Emma inherited her grandmother's wisdom. Bradley inherited his mother's appetite. Different children. Same disappointment at the end. The bidding started at $40,000. Within 3 minutes, it hit $60,000. Phone bidders competed with floor collectors. Gerald's voice carried across the room. Professional, practiced. 70,000. 72. Do I hear 75? Paddle raised. Back row. A man I recognized. Japanese collector. Specialized in early Patek Philippe. 75,000. Fair warning. The hammer fell. I watched my grandfather's watch leave my family forever. Felt nothing. That bothered me more than the loss. The check arrived. March 1st. $71,250 after commission. I deposited it. Said nothing. Meanwhile, across town, Bradley and Crystal were calculating. They always were. I discovered this later. Crystal's friend Dominique worked at a jewelry store, high-end place on King Street. She mentioned seeing the auction catalog. That watch looked exactly like the one Walter showed us. Crystal photographed the listing. Showed Bradley. "Dad's old junk sold for how much?" Silence. Then the phone calls started. 4 in one day. I let them all hit voicemail. "Dad, call me back. Important." "Walter, it's Crystal. We need to discuss something." "Dad, seriously, call me." The fourth one, Bradley's voice tight with barely controlled fury. "I know you sold it. We need to talk. Now." I poured myself bourbon. Sat on my porch. Charleston evening. Palmetto trees swaying. Spring coming early. My phone buzzed. Text from Bradley. "I'm coming over." 20 minutes later, his BMW screeched into my driveway. He didn't knock, just walked in. Crystal behind him, heels clicking on my hardwood. $75,000. I set down my bourbon. "Good evening to you too. You sold the watch. The one you offered me. You didn't want it, called it old junk, if memory serves." Crystal stepped forward. "That was before we knew what it was worth." "Worth?" I nodded slowly. "So you wanted it for its worth, not its meaning." "Don't twist words, Dad." Bradley's face reddened. "You should have told us, given us the option to keep it." "I did give you the option, 2 weeks ago. You declined." Crystal's voice pitched higher. "We didn't know it was valuable." Which is precisely my point. I stood, walked to my bookshelf, pulled down a ledger. My family's watch collection, documented since 1952. "Would you like to know what else is in here?" Their eyes widened. My grandfather collected timepieces, 7 pieces total. The Patek Philippe was number 4. Bradley's breathing changed. 7 pieces? 3 remain in my possession. The others sold over the years. But these 3... I paused for effect. Let's just say the Patek was not the most valuable. Crystal's hand found Bradley's arm. Squeezed. "How much are we talking?" Bradley's voice came out strangled. "Considerable." I shouldn't have said it. The word hung in the air like a lit fuse. The fuse burned for exactly 72 hours. Then everything exploded. Sunday dinner. I'd cooked. Shrimp and grits. Charleston tradition. Emma was visiting from Seattle. First time in 8 months. She'd brought her husband David and their daughter Maisie. Bradley and Crystal came too. With their twins, Parker and Preston. Matching polo shirts. 12 years old. hadn't looked up from their phones since arriving. Maisie sat next to me, 11 years old, drew pictures of the grandfather clock in my hallway. Grandpa, what's inside the clock? Gears, sweetheart. Hundreds of tiny gears. Each one has a job. Like people? Exactly like people. When one stops working, the whole thing fails. Bradley cleared his throat. Dad, we should discuss the estate. Emma set down her fork. Estate? Dad's not dying. Of course not. Crystal smiled. We're just planning ahead, being responsible. I watched my son's face, the calculation behind his eyes, the brief glance toward my workshop door. What exactly would you like to discuss? The collection. Bradley leaned forward. You mentioned other watches, more valuable than the Patek. I mentioned nothing of the sort. You said considerable. I said the Patek wasn't the most valuable. I didn't specify what else exists. Emma looked between us. What's going on? Nothing. I picked up my wine glass. Bradley's concerned about my financial planning. Crystal's smile tightened. We want to make sure valuable items are properly insured, protected. They're in a bank vault, very protected. But we don't even know what they are. Bradley's voice rose. How can we help manage things if we don't know what we're managing? You're not managing anything. I'm 68, not 88. I manage my own affairs quite well. Maisie tugged my sleeve. Grandpa, can I see your workshop after dinner? Absolutely, sweetheart. Bradley's jaw tightened. Dad, we're having a serious conversation, and I'm having dinner with my granddaughter. The conversation can wait. It waited 3 days. Then I found Bradley in my workshop, uninvited. Hands in my filing cabinet. Looking for something? He spun around. Jesus, Dad, you scared me. That doesn't answer my question. I thought I left my sunglasses. In my filing cabinet? Silence. Get out. Dad, listen. Get out of my workshop. He left. I checked the files. He'd photographed my insurance documents. 3 policies. Separate watches. Total coverage value. $340,000. I called my lawyer that afternoon. Sid Morrison's office smelled like old books and leather. We'd known each other 25 years. He'd handled my divorce, my business contracts, my first will. They're getting aggressive. I spread the photographs across his desk. Security camera caught this last night. Bradley? His eyebrows rose. Breaking into your files? Technically, he used a key. I gave him one years ago. But he's photographing insurance documents, which means he's calculating. Exactly. What do you want to do? I want to protect my assets, and I want to teach my son a lesson he'll never forget. Sid leaned back. Those 2 goals might conflict. They might. But I'm willing to take that risk. The plan developed over 2 weeks. Phase 1, let them hunt. Bradley believed 3 watches worth $340,000 sat in a bank vault somewhere. He'd search, he'd scheme, he'd reveal exactly how far he was willing to go. Phase 2, documentation. Security cameras, recorded conversations, every text message saved. If he tried anything legal, I'd have evidence. Phase 3, the truth. But not yet. First, the game. I left my workshop unlocked one evening. Inside, on my bench, sat a folder marked Confidential Collection Appraisal 2019. I'd assembled it carefully. Real letterhead from Christie's. Authentic-looking documentation. Total estimated value. $1.2 million. The 3 remaining watches, plus 4 more I'd allegedly hidden, a fantasy collection, a treasure map leading nowhere. Bradley found it within 48 hours. Security camera caught him photographing every page. His hands shook. That night, their bedroom. I didn't need cameras there. Crystal's voice carried through open windows. They'd forgotten I was working in my garden. $1.2 million, Bradley. And he's 68 with heart problems. He doesn't have heart problems. He's old. Same thing. We need to be in the will. Properly. We are in the will. Half each. Me and Emma. Half isn't enough. Not if there's over $1 million in watches just sitting there. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting we become indispensable. Move in. Help him. Take care of him. He'll never agree to that. He will if he thinks he needs us. I set down my gardening shears. My hands didn't shake. They should have. The request came that weekend. Casual. Almost believable. Dad, Crystal and I have been talking. You're alone in this big house. What if something happened? I'm perfectly capable. Of course you are. But we worry. Bradley's voice oozed synthetic concern. What if we moved in? Just temporarily. Help with maintenance, cooking, company. You have a house. We could rent it out. Help with your mortgage too. Win-win. My mortgage is paid off. Has been for 15 years. Then we'd save money. Put it toward the kids' education. The kids who hadn't looked up from their phones in 3 visits. Those kids. Let me think about it. I didn't need to think. I needed time to prepare. April 1st. Appropriate date. Bradley and Crystal moved into my guest rooms. The twins took the basement. Their belongings filled my quiet spaces with chaos. Crystal immediately began redecorating. Just freshening things up, Walter. That lamp is so dated. The lamp was a Tiffany. 1,920 seconds. Worth about $15,000. I moved it to my workshop before she could donate it to Goodwill. Bradley's helpfulness was suffocating. Let me mow the lawn, Dad. Let me fix that leak. Let me check your medication schedule. I don't have a medication schedule. Everyone your age should have one. I counted days, documented everything. The $1. 2 million fantasy collection hung in the air between us. They mentioned it constantly without mentioning it at all. Dad, you should really get a proper safe, better than a bank vault. Dad, have you updated your insurance lately? Rates change. Dad, Emma lives so far away. If anything happened, we'd be here to handle things. Handle things, meaning handle me. 3 weeks in, I walked past the study and heard Crystal on the phone. No, he hasn't told us where they are yet. We're working on it. Just be patient. Working on what? I stepped into the doorway. She spun around. Walter, I was just talking to my mother. Your mother died in 2019. I meant my sister. Your sister's name isn't We're working on it. She left the room without answering. That night, I called Emma. Dad, what's happening? She sounded worried. Bradley texted that you're having memory issues. Memory issues? He said you forgot his birthday. Left the stove on twice. Got confused about the date. I forgot nothing. The stove incident was his wife's cooking, and the date confusion was daylight saving time. Why would he say that? I paused. What exactly did he say? That you might need supervision. That he's concerned about early dementia. The word hit like a slap. Dementia. Emma, I need you to listen carefully. Your brother is not here to help me. He's here because he thinks I have $1 million in watches hidden somewhere. Wait, what? I explained. The Patek Philippe, the fake appraisal, the move-in. Her silence grew heavier with each detail. Dad, I don't even know what to say. Neither do I. But I need your help. What kind of help? The legal kind. The papers arrived April 23rd. I was served at breakfast. Bradley watched from the kitchen doorway. Didn't even pretend to be surprised. Petition for conservatorship. Mental incapacity. Impulsive financial decisions. Vulnerability to exploitation. I read each page carefully. Looked up at my son. You're claiming I'm incompetent. We're concerned about you, Dad. He couldn't meet my eyes. Concerned enough to take control of my finances. It's for your protection. Protection from what? From yourself. Crystal stepped forward. You sold a $75,000 watch without telling anyone. You've been secretive about assets. You forget things. I forget nothing. The stove. She smiled, triumphant. You left the stove on. While making your avocado toast. I cleaned up. Her smile faltered. I have security cameras. Throughout the house, everything recorded since February. Their faces went white, not pale. White. Every conversation, every search through my files, every phone call discussing how to work on me, all documented. Bradley's voice cracked. That's illegal. It's my house. Completely legal. Sid confirmed. Who's Sid? My attorney. The one who's been building a case against you for 2 months. The competency evaluation took 3 hours. Doctor. Patricia Wellen asked every question designed to expose cognitive decline. I answered every one correctly. Drew the clock. Counted backwards. recited the presidents. Mr. Hendricks, she said finally, you show no signs of impairment. Your cognitive function is excellent for your age. For any age. She almost smiled. Quite right. The petition was dismissed. April 30th. Bradley's lawyer withdrew, citing insufficient evidence. The newspaper didn't cover it. Small mercies. But they didn't leave. Stayed in my house. Changed tactics. Crystal became aggressively sweet. Bradley found new ways to snoop. I let them. The collection didn't exist. Let them hunt ghosts. May 15th. I came home from the Watchmakers Guild meeting to find my bank vault empty. Not burglarized. Accessed. With my key. The one Bradley had copied. I called Sid immediately. Then the police. Then sat in my living room waiting. Bradley returned at 6. Pale. Shaking. The vault was empty. Of course it was. There are no watches. But the appraisal. The insurance documents. The appraisal was fabricated. I made it myself. The insurance policies are real, covering pieces I sold years ago. Paperwork I never updated. His face progressed through stages of grief, denial, anger, bargaining, depression. Never quite reached acceptance. You lied to us. I tested you. You failed. Crystal's voice came from the hallway. This was entrapment. This was parenting. 40 years too late, but parenting nonetheless. The next morning, I called a family meeting. Sid attended. Emma flew in from Seattle. Everyone sat in my living room, neutral territory. Let me tell you about the real collection. I pulled out a folder. Actual documents this time. Original letterhead. In 1952, my grandfather owned 7 timepieces. The Patek Philippe I sold in February. A Vacheron Constantin from 1935. An Omega Seamaster from 1948. And 4 others of lesser value. Bradley leaned forward. Where are they? Sold. All of them. Between 1987 and 2015. I used the money for your mother's medical bills, for this house, for your college education, for the wedding gift that paid for your honeymoon. Silence. The collection exists, but only in history. The current value of my estate is this house, my workshop equipment, and approximately $89,000 in savings. That's it. Bradley's voice came out strangled. The insurance documents. Outdated. I never canceled the policies. Cheaper to maintain than update. So there's nothing? Nothing except what I've given you all along. 3 years of mortgage payments. The Rolex. Emergency loans. College funds for the twins. Nothing except everything. Crystal stood abruptly. This is ridiculous. You manipulated us. I gave my son a family heirloom. He called it junk. Everything that followed was your choice, not mine. Sid cleared his throat. There's more. I nodded. As of last month, this house is jointly owned. 50% belongs to Mr. Hendricks. 50% belongs to Emma Hendricks Tanaka. Bradley's jaw dropped. What? Emma has been co-owner since April 10th. Which means, Sid paused, any decisions regarding this property require her consent. Emma spoke for the first time, and I consent to our father's decision that you need to find alternative housing. You can't do this. I can. We can. I stood. You've been guests here for 7 weeks. No lease, no rent, no tenant rights. You have 30 days to find a new place. I suggest you start looking. The month passed slowly. Bradley and Crystal searched half-heartedly, complained constantly. The twins never acknowledged anything was wrong. Still on their phones, still absent. But something shifted in Bradley. Small changes. He helped with dishes without being asked. Sat on the porch one evening and actually talked. Not about money, about baseball, his childhood, things we hadn't discussed in years. Day 28. I found him in my workshop. Not searching, just sitting, holding the case where the Patek Philippe used to rest. I really messed up, didn't I? I sat across from him. Yes. Crystal says we should sue, fight the eviction, claim elder abuse. What do you say? He was quiet for a long time. I say I became someone I don't recognize, someone who'd steal from his own father, who'd try to have him declared incompetent, who saw him as an obstacle instead of a person. The words hit something I'd tried to bury. That watch, he continued. I remember Grandpa showing it to me when I was 8, telling me about the war, about survival. I pretended I'd forgotten. Why? Because remembering meant it mattered, and if it mattered, I couldn't dismiss it, couldn't prioritize money over meaning. I didn't respond immediately. Outside, Charleston settled into evening. Crickets started their chorus. The watch is gone, I said finally. But its lesson isn't. What lesson? That value isn't measured in dollars. That legacy means nothing to people who can't see past price tags. That I spent 45 years as a watchmaker, learning to find treasure in things others overlook, and I failed to teach you the same. He looked at me, eyes wet. First, genuine emotion I'd seen in years. Can you try again? The eviction date arrived, June 15th, moving truck in the driveway. Crystal directed movers with barely concealed fury. The twins played games in the car. Bradley carried boxes slowly, lingered in each room, touched walls like saying goodbye to more than a house. Crystal finished first, walked past me without a word. The car door slammed, engine started. Bradley stopped at the front door. I am sorry, Dad, for all of it. I know. Does that mean you forgive me? It means I hear you. Forgiveness takes time. He nodded, wiped his eyes, walked to the car. I watched them drive away. Emma stood beside me on the porch. Are you okay? I don't know yet. You did the right thing. Did I? Sometimes doing the right thing feels exactly like doing the wrong thing. She put her arm around me. That's how you know it mattered. 6 months passed. Autumn arrived in Charleston. Spanish moss turned gold. I joined a watchmaking apprenticeship program at the community college. Teaching seemed like appropriate penance for decades of failed parenting. Emma visited monthly. Maisie drew pictures of my clocks. David and I played chess on the porch. Quiet family, the kind that shows up without calculating what they'll inherit. Bradley called every Sunday. Short conversations, weather, sports, small talk building toward something larger. Crystal filed for divorce in October. The marriage had been rotting for years. My intervention simply exposed the decay. November brought a letter, handwritten, Bradley's script. Dad, I found a job. Real job. Not consulting. Watchmaker's assistant at a shop in Atlanta. The owner is teaching me repair. It's hard. My hands aren't as steady as yours. But I'm learning. I remembered when those hands first held a watch. Age 5. His grandfather's Omega. He'd been fascinated. Then Crystal's voice. Don't touch that, honey. It's old and probably broken. Maybe we break what we're taught to dismiss. The letter continued. I don't expect forgiveness. But I want you to know, I finally understand what you tried to give me. Not a watch, not money, a connection to something larger than myself. I threw it away. That's on me. But I'm trying to build it back, one gear at a time. I read the letter 3 times. Then got a magnet, hung it on my refrigerator, next to Maisie's latest drawing. Thanksgiving, my house filled with the right people. Emma, David, Maisie. No, Bradley, not ready yet. But maybe next year. I stood in my workshop after dinner, held an empty velvet case. The ghost of a Patek Philippe rested inside. My grandfather survived 2 wars carrying that watch. I survived 1 family battle without it. Different wars. Same lesson. Some things you carry, some things carry you. The trick is knowing which is which. I closed the case, placed it back on the shelf, walked outside to join my family. Charleston settled into evening. Palmetto trees swayed. Another generation of crickets sang their ancient song. I wasn't happy yet. That would take time. But I was at peace. And sometimes, after war, peace is enough. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.